Hello everybody, and welcome to this lecture in which I give you a demonstration about how Fusion 360 can be used as a 3D modeling platform to create architectural spaces. Now this is a very simplistic design. It's a cubicle room, represents kind of like a simple one-person, two-person office space. But the process and the methodology I show you can then be applied to any type of residential, commercial, interior design, as well as exhibit design or actually furniture design when we have to design furniture fitting into an architectural framework. This is all in direct modeling. So this lecture will give you a crash course on how to use the sketch engine, basic modeling tools. Also, then I will cover how to export this out so we can send it to a program like Blender or SketchUp. And also for those who are interested in, from the sketch model, we can create also draftings or drawings. What you see here is just a very simple example. The dimensions are more for products, less really architectural space, but everything what we see here, these drawings, we can export as DWG, load this then into AutoCAD, move this around, clean this up, for example, add proper architectural tick dimension styles and so forth. Okay, and with all that said, let's do it. Before we get started with 3D modeling, let's set up our environment. First, go to the root, right-click, do not capture design history. Then, unit system here, we can switch, for example, to feet or inches. I go inches. And then let's go to preferences. Go to unit value display. And if you want to, you can set the display to architectural, so feet and inches. It's a matter of preference. This does not change the scale or anything. It's just only the way how everything is displayed. Click apply. Okay, good. Click top view. Then you create new sketch. On this yellow plane, I will create a rectangular line, and this should now be 11 feet. You know, we are still in unit system inches. So 11, and then type in the feet unit. Tab 11 and feet and enter. If I zoom out now, there you can see that this is actually now 11 feet. So this unit system, again, if I switch this to feet or foot, basically now when, let's say here I delete this and drag this one down, go sketch dimension, click this line, and click. If I type in now 11 feet, so I don't have to enter the unit system. Click enter. There we are. Cool. Okay. So you see, it doesn't actually matter much. It's really based on how you want to work. I will set this to inches. The display, however, is to architectural. So I can always type in 11 feet. Or I type, for example, in 2 inches. Or 2 just because it's inches. Anyway, so the interior dimension of the room is done. Now we have to create the exterior lines for the walls. I can, for example, simply draw a rectangle like this. Doesn't have to be very precise. And then I go to sketch dimension and say click and click, click 5 inches, enter. And there you see how the architectural dimension shows it 0 feet, 5 inches. This is an exterior wall, so this will be 9 inches. Very good. So, for those who are also familiar with SketchUp, for example, the Y is actually the north, the X is east, this is south, this is west. So this wall here is actually down here, So what I have to do is this has to be 5 and this is going to be 9. And you see how by adjusting the values, it recreated or adjusted everything for these lines. Well, pretty easy. Very good. We could then actually at this point extrude our walls if we want to. So here's the extrude command. There is the profile of the wall, and we extrude this up 8 feet. So it's pretty tall, as you can see. Very good. Here I have an extrude function. I right click and say dissolve, and here is the body for the wall. I hide this. I can open the sketch. Here's the sketch for the architectural space. Let's go back to top view, and there. So when this is the exterior wall, there is actually right here a door, and here's a window. The door is very easy to do. You saw that I extruded first the wall. Now right click, edit sketch. I will go back and edit actually everything for the door. Just the opening. So line tool, click, and I go straight up, click. And one time I do this on purpose, I click at a diagonal. I move this over so this line is nearly vertical, and then I say vertical constraint. This line was drawn perpendicular. This perpendicular constraint I can select delete and say vertical. Cool. So this is the opening for the door. We're going to simplify this a little bit. So this door has a width of 30 inches. And then from the interior corner to this wall, it has a distance of, and this is interesting now, 2.5 inches for the trim that goes around, plus 1 inch of a distance between the trim and the wall on the left side. Press enter. So you see, you can actually enter really small math equations, and then it gives you a sum. Pretty good. Very nice. Click finish. There we are. Now, let's take a look at this. This is our wall, and we would like to cut in the space for the door. So we go extrude. There is our sketch. And when I extrude up, you see this extrusion goes into the wall, and automatically the software thinks we want to cut something out to the height of 80 inches. Again, dimensions slightly simplified. Not too difficult, no? Cool. Okay. So in the next step, we can, for example, along these edges, create, for example, everything for the trim. When we select 2 lines, lower right corner, it tells us also the distance. So 3.5 inch. This is very good. I'm going to draw now the profile for the trim that goes around the door. I can draw this here on the ground. I can also draw this somewhere here in mid-air. I'm going to do this in mid-air to just show you how interesting 3D modeling for architectural design here works. So, construction. I need to create, think about it like a sheet of paper. And I'm looking for plane along path. This is my path. Click. There's my plane. Distance 0.5, so it's centered. 50% midpoint. Okay, very good. Then let's create a sketch on this plane. You see there's a midpoint right on this edge. That's very useful. So now I can go with the line command, zoom in a little bit, draw a line up. This is 2.5 inches. Very good. Straight up. Then a horizontal line 0.5 of an inch. Press L for line. Another one, 0.25 horizontal. We can click and drag these dimensions so they're out of our way. And then I will continue. 0.5 up, 0.25 down. And now I will do a small thing here. Let's see how much is this. So 3/32 of an inch. Okay, click. So I'm using the grid. I do the same here. 3/32 of an inch. Enter. I can press D and dimension this there. No? And then check this out. Here's my fit point spline. When I click, and I click, and I click, enter, and then press escape. When I move this around, interesting. We have kind of like something like an arc. I will select this spline and delete it. For those who are familiar with AutoCAD, pretty much the same stuff. Here now I go to spline and control point. This is more interesting. Click, go straight up, click over, click and go straight up to there and enter and escape. And now I can move these points a little bit further apart, and you see how, yeah, I can style this a little bit more. This goes in, this goes up. Maybe this I want to be vertically aligned. This vertically aligned, but then this is too tight, too narrow, undo. So maybe this I push out a little bit. Very good. We don't want to spend too much time on it, but you can see the position of this point really sculpts that curve. Cool. Okay. Yeah. That's it. For those who are new, and I'm curious, why is this black? Why is this blue? All these lines have dimensional constraints. When this blue doesn't, that's the reason why it's blue. Now, for those who are familiar with SketchUp, the command is called follow me. And then here it's called sweep. It's actually a sweep command. That's more the standard term. Click sweep, click this profile. Very good. Then path. So this path. And then on the Mac, I'm holding the command key. On a PC, I think it's a control key. Click and click. Do not join, really, as a new body. When I click new body, you will see here in a moment a new body when I click OK. There. The join command otherwise would have joined this together into one body, one group. Very good. Yeah, look at that. There we actually have now this design. Pretty nice. We will at one point do a rendering onto this wall, looking from here. So maybe if while we model from here, this wall is always in our way. Let's do the following. We're going to slice this one off. And the question is, do we use this wall and this wall to trim, or this wall to trim? I will go to split body. The body to split is the wall. And then the splitting tool is this face. Click. There you see the red disk. Click OK. Now you see here, this is a new body. Right click, new group. And this is just a folder. I call this door wall. So this goes to there. And then body 2, that's the door trim. Cool. Okay. Very nice. You see, actually, this is not very complicated. Let's finish actually the wall. We don't have a door in there right now. So let's turn on the visibility of the folder for the sketches. That shows also all the sketches. Here's actually a rectangle. From this, we can sculpt our door. So I click this rectangle. And this goes up 80 inches. And you see this actually fuses it back into the wall. So I say new body. Thank you. There we know we have a very, very big door. The door is also perfectly fitting into this block. Now we can't really rotate this out. Again, everything what we do here right now is a simplification. Let's go to press pull command. When we click this face, I would like this to adjust the thickness. So look, here we can say re-anchor. And I re-anchor the measurement onto the back face of that door block. Now this tells me from there to the blue other face, it is actually 5 inches. And I can simply say divide by 2, half, no? So 2.5 inches and enter. I could also just have typed in 2.5 inches. So this is actually now a door that can rotate to the inside along, let's say there we would have an hinge. Okay. Now, to make this look like a door, we might want to also have a door handle. So this extrude command here, for the moment, I right-click dissolve. Then I click on this body, right-click and say isolate. So now I only see this door. And what I'm going to do now is I would like to draw something for a door handle here. And I need this at a height of 3 feet. So offset plane, think about this as we are creating a construction, a drafting plane. And this should go up -3 feet there. Very good. So now on this plane, I can create a drawing. There we are. New sketch there. And what I can do now is this line and this line I would project into the drawing. So intersect there and there. Actually, the second one I don't really need, just the first one. Click OK. Very good. So what I have now is a height point 3 feet off the ground. And now we have the ability to sketch everything onto there, what we would like to have for the door handle. The door handle we do very suggestive. These are pre-made things, so there's no point in building it perfectly. Only if we really want to produce such a door handle or hardware piece, and then we would do. So all we do, just to suggest somebody, there's a door handle. So with the line tool on this purple line, I click. This should be perpendicular. You see there's a perpendicular constraint. Click and click, go back. Then I go to dimension. This line should be around, let's say, 5 inches. This should be around 2 inches. And then this from this point away should be 2.5 inches. Very good. Then, whoa, a little bit recentering. There we are. Well, what's going on? Why is this rotation going a little bit crazy? Good, there we are. So we're going to pipe this with a 1-inch pipe, and then this will go into kind of like a 3-inch, 4-inch, 3-inch disc. I go to the line command, and then somewhere here, click, click, and here on purpose I make this a little bit more crooked. I can simply straighten this with the horizontal constraint. Dimension, this maybe we make 1/4 inch, and then this should be 1.5 of an inch. So this will have a 3-inch diameter when we do a spin. Let's do the spin. We're basically nearly done here. So revolve. Now this is kind of like taking a profile, this profile which I have selected, or I simply select it, then around what axis, this one, as a new body. Thank you. If this should be a nice pipe, well, we can simply pipe it. Pipe U. The diameter here we would like to be 0.5. section size. No, actually that's the diameter. So diameter will be 1 inch. Very good. New body there. Yeah, let's see. Doesn't actually look too bad. For those who now would like to have this rounded, I undo the step. Here's the sketch. Right click, edit sketch. Then there's my fillet command. Click, click. And let's say 1/2 inch. This might not be enough. 1 inch. Okay. Finish sketch. Pipe. New body. And there you see now how this is actually rounded. Okay. I press cancel and undo. Actually, I really like this linear look more. And new body there. What we can do, however, is fuse this, even while it not necessarily is really, but we fuse these two pieces together into one object via the combine command. Like in Sketchup, that's the Solid Tools. Right click, dissolve. This edge is really hard. We could go to fillet command and say 0.25 to round this. There we are. And right click and say repeat fillet, or call this command again, and then here 0.125. Look at that, no? So we nicely rounded these sharp corners. Very good. This sketch, for example, we can keep, or we can just press delete and just remove it. We can always redraw it. So simple. Let's clean up our design. And then this we drag into there. Yeah, and now we have actually the model for our door finished. Right click and say unisolate, and there we see everything again. Perfect. So with this part done, let's actually take a look at the wall here and how we can enter, or not enter, add actually the window. So on this interior face, I'm going to create a sketch. I had the face selected, clicked new sketch. So this created a drawing on this face, and I will draw simply a rectangle. Now I press D or go with dimension and say, so the distance from here to here, that's actually 1 foot. And then from there to there, that's actually 4 feet and 5 inches. And then from there to there, that is 1 foot, 7 inches. For those who are familiar with SketchUp, you can notice how easy it is actually to dimension everything afterwards for architectural modeling. In SketchUp, we need to specify everything nearly at the beginning, and here we can do this afterwards. So I don't have actually a dimension from here to here, but I have a dimension from there to the top. That's actually 5 feet, 8 inches. And then we can do the following, and because this looks kind of crazy, we delete this dimension and then say, hey, just VRD and dimension, write me that. So 2 feet, 4 inches. So what I have now is actually the outer dimension of the window trim, and not necessarily just the window opening itself. Click finish. So this is all good. And here, you remember there we created this little trim piece. We have all these sketches here. Let's maybe give them names. Right click. Where there we name. We call this floor. This is window. And then here, let's call this trim. Door, window, or trim. Later we will also do the baseboard, so maybe trim is fine, just really short. Okay, good. So what can we do now? Well, I can select this trim body, copy and paste, and then move this to somewhere else. So the copy and paste on the Mac was just Command key C and V after I had the trim piece here selected. So on the PC, pretty much it will be the Control C and V. And there we can see this has to rotate. So I'm moving and rotating it. Very good. So I can get this closer. No, I don't really know where this is. And here is the move command. Now we have move freely and rotate. And then we have this point to point. That's kind of like what I want. So the sketch is selected and I would like this corner point to align with this midpoint. Okay, there. You see? Let me do this one more time. So I select the trim sketch in the object browser, copy and paste. Move this to wherever. Then I have to rotate it. And well, I'm glad actually I'm redoing it because hold on one second. Did I actually maybe make a mistake? Yeah, I made a pretty silly mistake. Wah, wah. The trim is actually wrong. The thick is on the outside, the thin is on the inside. Oh, this is lovely. Oh, actually, okay, this happens because this gives me the possibility to show you how we can fix this. It's not really a big deal. So this trim body here, I select, go to move, and then I also have to rotate it this way, 180 degrees. Then I go to the point-to-point move and say this upper corner, please join to there. Cool. No, that was it. And then to create the trim, revolve, very easy. U along, sorry, not revolve, my fault. Sweep, sweep this profile along these four edges. The chain select was selected, and there it is all done perfectly. No join, new body, thank you. So we can hide all this, turn this on, very good. So and there's actually our lovely trim, which however is wrong. So we simply delete this. How do we fix this? There's my trim, there's my other trim object, thank you. And I would like to rotate this. Yeah, just rotate it 180. Then I move this a little bit away and then I go point to point, this point to this point. There we are. And then again, sweep, sweep along this path. And here I can select the edges of the geometry. I don't need to have a specific sketch. New body there. And then this goes in there. Cool. Okay. You see, that wasn't too complicated. Cool. Okay, beautiful. So how do we then actually match, yeah, the opening now, no? So this is our window sketch. Right click and say edit. And what we can do now is project the opening of this window in there. So I go to project. I have to be very careful. And you see there's a line, there's a line. And these are the inner edges of my trim. Same here, same there. Okay. And then when I go solid and extrude, I should then be able to, in top view, select this and extrude this and cut through. Boom, there. Right click, dissolve these things. I can turn all this off. Yeah, there you see, no? Step by step, we're blocking all the stuff out. Pretty easy. Cool. Okay. Now let's do a speed modeling actually for the window. We want to do the window more in kind of like a simplified way. So we'll create a sketch on here. So this is the lower part. There we are. We have somewhere a midpoint. So there's a midpoint, parallel, not parallel, perpendicular. And then I draw a line here, and I draw a line somewhere here. These lines are all perpendicular. This is midpoint. And then I can say, so you will be, let's say, 2.5 inches divided by 2. And then here I say the same, 2.5 inches divided by 2, because I want these two lines to be 2.5 inches apart. Escape. This line we can turn into construction. So it's just a guideline. And then I can go to Solid, go to Extrude. I need to show the sketch here. The sketch, I extrude up. And to hit this face, I say for the distance to the object, this one, as a new body. There we are. Easy peasy. Now, there we have kind of like this centerpiece created. Now, these two elements here are very much the same. So the question now is, how do we model actually the rest that goes in there? So we could create a sketch on the back wall and then use these edges, for example. So well, we can do this maybe from the back. So I clicked on sketch now on the back wall. Now I have a new sketch. I can press P for project and project this line in. You see now here I have these individual profiles. Then let's actually go ahead and say offset. So this I offset down minus 2.5 inches or 2.5 inches, positive, enter. And then offset this line this way, 2.5 inches. Yeah, cool. You see now there is my opening and here is my frame. So what I can do now is I can select these segments with Shift and left mouse button click, go to Solid, Extrude, and then I extrude this out by 1.5 inches. I have to flip the direction, so minus, and as a new body. Cool. Now, there you see this. So the window is directly on the outside. We can keep it there. It's all good. If we would like to bring this a little bit closer, we can go to Move command, move this body, click this arrow, 1 inch. What about 2 inches? 4 inches? No, well, maybe 4 inches. Okay, very nice. Click and click. That is 3 inches and a half. So I would like to bring this over as a copy. Very good. We can do this. So you, as a copy, come over. And then we say, move this copy from this corner to here. And then move this back minus 3.5 inches. There. You see, this is all measured out to be the same. Easy peasy. Now this original sketch we created here in the back. So this one, for example, we can just delete. It's gone. And also here, we don't need it. We can delete it. Very good. Because we turned off the timeline, so nothing is really associated. We can just model freely around as we want. Cool. Okay. So we might need to also have a foundation. I will create a new group. And then here, all this I will select, put into this group, right click, rename and say wall. Turn this off. Sometimes there's a little bug. You see this was hidden and still the geometry was visible. So just click, click, then it's gone. Here's now our stuff. And I can select the inside, the wall, and this piece of the door, and then we bring this down minus 10 inches. There's our foundation. Cool. Okay. On the bottom here, we will have a little bit of a baseboard. The floor, let's say, is actually hardwood floor. Hardwood floor is not connected to the walls because during winter and summer, humidity changes, the material expands and shrinks, so it needs to have space to breathe. So we will create a small baseboard, and then we will create a small cover up too for the gap. So the baseboard actually comes first. In my case here, I will right click dissolve these elements. I have to turn this off again. Sorry. So where do we start with the baseboard? I could select this line and do this trick with plane and angle again, or I can also, for example, use this face here. It's very easy to draw on this face. So sketch on this face. Thank you. Then here is my line command. So on this element, you see here, I can snap onto it, click, and then this should go up 4 inches. Very good. By the way, now I can turn everything else off in the bodies, so I can only focus on the sketch. It's easier to see. 0.5 of an inch. Thank you. Then maybe this we bring over 0.25 of an inch. And then this we bring up to, I don't know, maybe 3 inches. Okay. Here later, I would like to have this or a similar interesting stepping tool. I remember this was 2/32 of an inch vertically, and then this is horizontally 2/32 of an inch. And to make the dimensions easier to read, you can move them around. You can also turn these off. There. Or even the constraints. Cool. So now I can think about how do I do this swoop? Okay, here's spline fit point. So starting here, click, going over, click, going there, click. Let's go to a back view and zoom out. Or where is it? Oh, down there. Very good. Beautiful. Now we can see that we have the line. Because this line is vertical, this line flows into this spline. Now here, no it doesn't, no it doesn't. Now check this out. I can also say, actually this line to this line be tangent. Here I could do the same if I want to. And it's actually also nice to see how, for example, this bellies out a little bit. Can play with this a tick more. This is a 1/2 inch. Maybe these two lines I make equal first. Ooh, okay, hold on. Let's do it this way. We make these both vertically constrained. Then we make this and this equal. Thank you. And then we make this horizontally constrained. Because this is horizontally and these two are equal, they're now really the same size. Very good. If I show my constraints now, you can see them now. There's this equal constraint. I can delete it. I can delete this vertical constraint. And now at this point with M, I can simply move over. So the position vertically doesn't change. It's at this midpoint. And I have a little bit more of, play. Okay, so this is actually for the baseboard. Now, technically speaking, on top then comes the hardwood floor. We simplify everything a little bit. We simply draw, for example, this quarter arc right over it. This quarter piece we do very simplistic. So I'm going to a 3D view. Click and click. This is 1/2 of an inch. Perfect. So then here is my arc tool. So there, rectangle, rectangle. There. click, and then this point here, this has to be coincident to there. Let me show you again. So this point, that's the center. I want to glue onto this point. And then I press D and say, wait, no. Do not select anything. Sometimes you have to move out or actually turn off all the other things which are confusing. There, D, this 0.5 of an inch. You see how this one came down because the midpoint is centered. So this arc perpendicular on this line, this arc perpendicular on this line. Finished. Cool. So what can we do now? The following. So we need to see everything here. There we are. Let me see. There's a crazy roller coaster ride. I'm sorry for this right now. So there actually is the detail. Maybe this bottom wall here I will remove. Then I go the sweep command and say U across. Wait, U across this. Rotate this and rotate this and rotate. Trying to see if I zoom in here. Can I connect this? I'm curious. No. So you see it follows this geometry edge, but it can't jump over to the edge of the other body. So this path in this case doesn't really work out. So all this I hide, but you remember, hey, we had this floor sketch before, no? So that actually I could use. So this sketch along this inner path, plonk, there we are. Here we need to split this later. Oh, cool, new body, done. Then this I will hide and I will go to sweep, U along this. And look, it even does it with that offset. You see, there's this offset. That's actually really nice. Okay. How do we do now this, trimming our baseboard here? There are two ways. I could, let's say, where's the door? There's the door. I could use this interface to split actually these two bodies. So this body and this body, I would like to split by this tool, but then you see it splits also to there. So I click OK, but you see it's cut. I would do the same with this, and then I can join everything back together. I can maybe show you how this works, so you understand. There are always multiple ways how to do something. So you and you will split by this body. And then this body and you, we delete. And then all the rest here, you see these cuts, we join. Clock. Now we have one piece. Easy peasy. The other way would be if we just undo everything before we did the split. There we are. Very good. So check this out. I select this. I do an extrude, but as a new body. Thank you. And then, because this is the opening of the door, then I select this extrude and say cut. And then this body can delete. Yeah, that was it. End result is exactly the same. Different tools, different methods, same result. So, very good. Now, the last thing to bring this to an end is we would like to add a little bit of simplistic furniture into the space. So here, two dry walls And then on this wall, very quickly, we would like to put a bookshelf system. So let's select this first. Now it's a little bit inconvenient to look into this space. Let's create a cut section. So we can go to section analysis, bring this back, maybe to here, click OK. And then here, right click, we could call this, this is actually the north wall, but let's say we call this sketching wall. Okay, so because now we can see the rest, it's very easy to design. New sketch on this wall. There we are. So let's create a rectangle. This rectangle, we can click and then press D for dimensions. So this, for example, will be 2 feet. And then this will be, let's say, 8 feet. And then we have also something in between. Here's a line there. So because this is kind of like the two boards, like 2 feet by 8 feet. Now this whiteboard should be at the eye level and nicely centered. So there are multiple ways how we can, for example, center it. We can solve this via geometry. So I draw from the midpoint to the wall a line, and the line is horizontal. And here I do the same. Check this out. I draw this at an angle, maybe like this, and I go then horizontally constrained, and that didn't really work out as much. Or maybe this point now I start dragging down a little bit more, and then horizontally constrained. Yeah, better. Both lines should be the same, so equal. Zack, done, finished. I don't need to measure the distances because it solves it for me. Escape, these 2 lines, click, click, line type, construction, good. From here to here, I don't know how much that is, but I know here should be my eye height. So let's say 6 foot, 6 feet, I mean 6 feet, 4 inches, 6 feet eye level. Okay, from the ground. This body here, I'm going to hide this one too. So I can go dimension and then say from, let's say this point to this edge down here, that should be 6 feet. So now we brought actually this board down exactly to the dimension we need. Again, for those who are from SketchUp, you notice we don't really have to work with guidelines because how we start dimensioning everything, that's actually interactive guidelines. Because the nice thing is I can go ahead and say, well, what about I make this 6, whoops, not 6 inches, 6 feet. What about we shrink this down or grow this down by 3 feet? You see how the sketch very nicely adjusts. Very good. Finish sketch. There we are. And then we can go extrude this one. 0.25 of an inch, a little bit thick, but it's okay. New body, right click, repeat. 0.25 of an inch, new body, click. Okay. And maybe this sketch here we call whiteboards. What was this sketch here? Oh, this is actually baseboard. And then all this, right click, dissolve. There. Cool. Very good. To turn off the section wall, we can simply click on this icon here. And then let's make another section. There we are. Pretty cool. Okay. So now on this wall, we would like to create a bookshelf, custom built one. We will have maybe like thin on top and around 4 or 5 in between, kind of like here. And then 3 divisions. Okay, so let's create a sketch on this wall. Now I need to bring in some reference geometry. So I can press P for project or project, click this edge, that's the wall. This is the door. This is the door and the wall. The ground, yeah, is anyway there, okay. And then I can turn all the stuff off, turn all this off. Yeah, and there's actually now my canvas. So there's a tiny edge here. Good, so this edge I'm going to continue, or what I can do, this line I delete and simply redraw myself a new clean line horizontally. Very good. Now we have right here, that's actually where the door trim is. So we can have our first vertical board there. And then I create another line. Then here another line. And another line. You see it snaps actually vertically to the height. And then here I have a lot of crazy parallel lines. And these lines are not really very clean. So I remove these constraints and set all this to vertical constraint. Cool. Okay. Then D, make a dimension. 0.5 of an inch. Okay. That's maybe too thin. An inch. Let's give this some material. 1 inch. And 1 inch. I would like the distance to be exactly the same. And look, very easy. Click and click. Edge to edge. Be careful. Also here, edge to edge. And then equal U to U. Escape. And then these two lines we make construction. And look, I dragged these actually out. So these guidelines are still working, but they are actually just off our canvas here. I have, now you see with these lines, I have profiles. This is actually my first, my second, my third, and I need also here a fourth one. So I'm just drawing a line here, press D, 1 inch. Cool. Okay. So these are the vertical boards. Okay, very good. Let's build those. I'm going to create a new body. And I'm just dropping all this into this group here for the moment. There. So this folder is still visible, so I can model on it. And then I can select this profile, this profile, this profile, and this profile, and drag this one out. Now the question is to how far do we want to drag this one out? Think about a sheet of paper in the US, 8.5 by 11. So how big is a book? No? So let's say 1 foot, 12 inches. Very good. I make a new new group, and call this book shelf. I always struggle. I have to just Google it. Well, I have to admit it. That's one of these words I never remember how to spell it correctly. So that's actually, you see, that wasn't really complicated. Now, how do we do the top and the bottom? I will turn this off for the moment. Here, bookshelf. If this is a typing error, let's at least make it consistent. And then check this out. So I draw from here to there a line. You saw that, no? Also from, yeah, I do this one on purpose, from here to there, and then from there to there, and from there to there. Make sure they are horizontally constrained. Then D, or this icon, 0.5. Maybe you make this a little bit thinner. 0.5. It's always good to have actually a tape measurement and measure something. So 0.5, that's actually really short. That's kind of really tiny. And 1 inch for the other ones, that's not big enough. So let's make these actually 1 inch. And the others, we adjust. Cool. Okay, so the U, 2 inch. And 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch. Okay, because what I'm trying to show you here is sometimes you can do a sketch and it can look good, but sometimes you need to experiment. So not tangent, I would like this line to be collinear to this line. You see it's actually at the same height. And you see I drew this easily over it, because what I can do now is, here's my bookshelf. So fixing these bodies, yeah, I can. Honestly, it's easier to simply remodel them. So one more time. See here now, I need to select all these segments. Click, 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 and click. Very good. 12 inches, 1 foot. Thank you. It's really massive, but let's say this is a hollow material, not just simple lumber planks. And then here, these, we also say 12. And please, new body, that's important. Okay. So how do we do the rest? How do we specify the stuff? We're not going to sketch anymore. We're actually now going to use a pattern command. The reason why this top one is so short because well, we have there a door. Makes sense. But the rest now we can simply do via the pattern command. So the pattern command is there, linear pattern. So I will select this body and this body along this direction, and then I can drag this one down. Yeah, direction. Distance. Do we have, for example, something to measure? What's the measuring from here to there? Okay. That wasn't really what I wanted. So let's measure this one more time from there to there. That's the opposite. It's right actually under it. So you see also it says extend. We also have spacing, like for example, what's the spacing and then how many do we have? You see how I'm playing with these numbers, or with the extend, we have 5 pieces subdivided over this distance. So let me measure something from there to there. So 6 feet and 10.5 inch, and from there to there, 6 feet 11.5 inch. Yeah, because this is 1 inch material thickness. So 6 feet 10.5. Okay. Pattern command. Doop doop. There, along here, go down. We would like to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 easily. So we set 6 feet, 10.5. Wait, what did I do? 6 feet, 10 inches. Interesting. So where is the trouble here? Oh yeah, I mean there it is. No? 6 feet. Oh yeah, decimal. I needed to write in the fraction. So you see it, 6 feet, 10.5 inch. Enter. There. You see? Perfectly spaced out. Very nice. Then all this we put into the bookshelf. Very good. What we have here. We can now turn off also here the section. Maybe this we can call bookshelf wall. By turning this eye off, we get everything back. There we are. Doors, walls, group. We have 5. What's in this group? So for example, this group we can rename into dry wall. There we are. And only these 2 elements should be in it, and then the rest here goes into walls. There we are. One more. What I'm doing is not necessarily needed always, but it's good at one point when you have complex designs and you want to very quickly find everything. So this is my window. And here are my window elements. Zip. So that is out. And then here, 1 year group. And I call this baseboard. Oop, wrong command. Baseboards. So you and you go in there. Beautiful. Okay. So there we actually have modeled our architectural space quite easily in Fusion 360 using direct modeling. No, that wasn't too complicated. So before we bring this to an end, I'm going to clean up my design here a little bit. These construction planes I don't need anymore, so I delete them. The sketches are all good. Section views are all good. There are 2 elements left, I think, which are very good to point out. First, clean modeling. So like in good James Bond method, never say never, because I actually shouldn't have said we're done, because the the design isn't really finished yet. So however, this is an interesting task. Look at this. I do a cut from this face. I do actually a cut, but on purpose. Check this out. I go to the back. Now this cuts into the bookshelf, so I make a new body. And then I go and say combine you and you, so the baseboard. Oh wait, no, the baseboard minus this piece, but keep the tool. Right click one more time. This little trim minus the bookshelf. Do not keep the tool, so throw it away. Done. Click OK. So this is all good. There's our door. The door will actually overlap with the trim. So this trim body here, it's a question on, do we keep it? Technically speaking here, this tiny piece we can remove. And then maybe this is a good accident that it happened, because I can show you how we can, in direct modeling, fix this stuff. So you see this baseboard is a question. Do we want the baseboard sit actually on the bookshelf to maintain this look? Because it might look odd when right here on the wall there is not this baseboard. So I will do the following. I will go and say press pull this face of my baseboard and go back to there. Okay. Whoa. And then I say move face. This face, move from maybe this point to this point. And you see how this got moved. Now the bottom face I can move up, or I can simply use the solid command, the Boolean command, and say from this, please remove this, keep it. So the center part is gone. Repeat you and you. Repeat baseboard minus this one. So now you see there I have these segments left. So if we would look from here, there you have the baseboard there. Or if we delete this, it would look like this. It's a question of preference and taste. And then, oh, here the same too. So you saw what I did. I selected this face and pressed delete, because then this trim goes to the baseboard. And then here, this baseboard face, simply select from this corner to kind of like this corner. Okay, very good. Nice and clean. It's an interesting tiny detail they have here. That's the way how they build it. It's like when you're tight spaces, you need to wiggle around a little bit. Okay, very good. Now, this actually looks much better. So let's actually go to what I wanted to show. So we click Save. We can call this maybe office space. And now for everybody who works with SketchUp, the really interesting thing is you can now go and say export as SketchUp. So it will take this CAD model, which is super precise, convert it into polygon models, and then send this over to SketchUp. For people who work with a render program like Blender, then we would just export this as OBJ. It would convert this CAD model into polygons and save it as the OBJ polygon format. So this is actually, I think, really good to know that you can use Fusion as a 3D modeler to create also spaces and assets for SketchUp. You can even actually, when you go open from design, all supported files, and what do we have? We can even bring in a SketchUp model, use it as a reference, model new CAD stuff over it, and then export the new design over. Because we can bring in a SketchUp model, we then have, for example, snapping points, etc. Okay, so that was for file exchange, getting the stuff out or bringing something in. So the last question to talk about is how can we create drawings? And there are actually two very interesting ways how we can do this. So let's say from this piece here, I would like to create a drawing. I do a quick test. I'm going to actually on purpose create a construction wall, offset from there. Now you saw that. And then I will create a sketch on this. And then I press P to project, for example, this wall and the two pieces here. And then also here, maybe this edge. Thank you. And I need to select a lower edge too. Let's see if I can select it. Oh, no, I can peek through the window. Loop. There. Very good. And if I want, I can even, for example, pop in the baseboard elements. There. So this is actually now a projected sketch. Here now I can go ahead, there it is, right click and say save as DXF. So that DXF is AutoCAD. I can load this right into AutoCAD and then go ahead and add dimensions to it. And this drawing I created by simply projecting geometry elements into a sketch. The second way is we have to save this file. First, I call this office space. And then let's go to new drawing from design. Okay, now this whole thing, we would like to create a drawing. The size of the document, so we can specify our standards and all the stuff. So 11 by 17, now it's not too big, easy for us as students to handle. Okay, most laser printers can print it. Well, there we are. So you'll notice there's is my drawing area, lower right corner, there's the drawing information. And where my mouse is, you see there's an image going around. This is actually the front view. I have here different drawing options, dimension options, and here's my stuff, the browser for the drawing. This is actually AutoCAD running inside Fusion 360. So I can click OK. Click OK. Now this is the front view. I can select this. I can move this view also around. I can also select it and delete it. Let's make a base view again. Maybe 120. There, this is bigger. Maybe too big for this page. 110. Wah, wah. I defeated myself. That's obviously bigger, so 130. Cool. So I click. Let's make a new base view. And this time I would like this to be the top, but also the same dimension, so 130. Now we want to keep this consistent. There. And what I can do now in addition, I can add dimensions and say, this is 142 in this drawing, or ceiling to bottom 96 inches, or on the outside, the distance between the wall edge and the window. Or I can also go in and I have to zoom in specifically. So this is the wall to this interior wall, 132. Now this is all in inches, and you also see it doesn't have the architectural tick. Fusion, well, is an engineering tool. Right click onto document settings there. We can switch the display also here to architecture at least. Now we have feet and inches and decimal. Blah. Okay. Now you can imagine we can now continue, make a new document, a nice big one. So 120. Yeah, 120 will work. Okay, very good. And what I'm going to do now is here is a section view, and create a section from maybe this midpoint down to the midpoint at the bottom. Click OK. Move this to the side. And there. Now we can look actually into the space through there. Also here, we can easily add dimensions to everything. 11 feet. That's the way how it should be. Interesting. This is angled. I have to check this, why this shouldn't be. Anyway, I could continue for a long time, but all I wanted to do is with this to give you an idea of how we also can not only export a 3D model from Fusion to send it to SketchUp, but we also can create architectural product drawings inside Fusion. And then, let's say in our case, because we want to add architectural ticks and all the stuff and add it into a more proper format, we can export it as DWG here, and then load this into AutoCAD and fix it up. And with that, I reached everything what I wanted to tell you, kind of like as a crash course into how to use Fusion 360 to model interior architectural elements for interior design, commercial, residential, architecture, exhibit design, or furniture design in place. That's it.